my loving you. Some time ago I thought.
Well, we're live. Hi, Andrew. Nice to see you. Yes, and welcome to everybody. Welcome to Erik, my co-host today. And yes, today it's Aretha Franklin. Sorry about the typo when I first published this. Aretha Frankling. Obviously, that's someone entirely different. I've never loved a man the way that I love you. So why did you choose this album?
It's a classic album, and it's also that made her actually famous almost over one night. But it has on also a very unknown for the most people background how it actually came to life. And that's why I wanted to go down into the deep south and explain, and also her life, because she was a very complicated woman, and I think that's why she was able to express herself in such a way. And so she's almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde.
Yeah, so this is obviously, everyone knows Aretha Franklin, or some of Aretha Franklin. One song in particular everybody knows, and this is not an album that I'd ever heard before, and in fact many songs that I'd not heard before.
Oh, wonderful.
So I put it on, and frankly, it's like you put it on the first track, it's everybody's at the front of their seat. It's just so I listened to the album through, and I just thought, this is amazing, absolutely amazing. And what's really interesting, so I've done quite a lot of driving because, as you know, my mother has been ill, so I've been driving backwards and forwards a bit between my house and here. It's like 2 hours in the car, so I've listened to the album 2 hours. Then I took my daughter back to university and pressed play on this, and we were driving along listening to it, and she just went, that voice is just, I mean, it is the best voice for sort of Motown, R&B, blues that I've ever heard, bar none. Just breathtakingly good. Absolutely breathtakingly good.
And you heard it unfortunately, or on record, because people that have heard her on live in concert, they have blown away. The sad thing was that she was in an incident 1982 where she was flying in a small aircraft, and they went into a very bad air. So after that, she said she was thinking she was going to die, and she refused after 82 to go on tour abroad. On concert, despite the record companies was pushing her, but she completely refused.
Yeah. But I mean, it was interesting because this album was 67.
Yes.
And it was an interesting time. I mean, loads of interesting stuff going on in the UK. We won the Eurovision Song Contest that year.
Oh,
Puppet on a
the
String.
last time. That was the last time.
Yeah, pretty much. Concorde was unveiled. North Sea gas began flowing. But I think that the big things were happening in arts, and so in cinema, You Only Live Twice was released. In the Heat of the Night was released. To Sir With Love was released. The Graduate was released. The Dirty Dozen was released. The Producers was released. Dr. Dolittle was released. So this huge array of great films. And then music, Are You Experienced? Jimi Hendrix, which we've done here. The Velvet Underground of Nico. Sgt. Pepper's. The Doors. Mellow Yellow. Younger Than Yesterday by the Byrds, Procol Harum, and Disraeli Gears by Cream all came out this year. So some amazing music in 1967, absolutely amazing. And this, of course.
And the Rolling Stones have them on their top 500 list on position 13.
Yeah, well, so this is as obviously, as you know, as part of the show, we go through and we do a bit of background reading and stuff. What I thought was really interesting was she was a bit of a singer and used to sing in church because her father was a pastor. And then at the age of 12, he began managing her as a singer. At 16, she was touring with Martin Luther King, and she sang at his funeral, and that was kind of her life. And the output of stuff that she produced was simply staggering. So this was her 10th album.
Number 11. She had 10th before, so she did I know, because I've seen different articles having different, but I before this I really went through this, so it's actually it did unbelievable 10 albums for Columbia Records, and this was her 11th record.
So the thing that I thought was amazing was that this was sandwiched in between Take It Like You Give It and Aretha Arrives. So this was 1967. And the one before it, Take It Like You Give It, was also 1967. And the one after it, Aretha Arrives, was also 1967.
Yeah. And that's confusing because if the title, I think it's not good to have the second album with the title as Arrives, because then you think Arrives is the first. That's confusing.
And she went on. She did 2 albums in 68, 2 albums in 69, and 2 albums in 70, and 39 albums in total, possibly 40 if I've missed one. But reading about her achievements, so she recorded 112 charted singles in the US Billboard charts, including 73 Hot 100 singles, 17 top 10 singles, 100 R&B entries, and 20 number 1 R&B singles. She won 18 Grammy Awards out of 44 nominations. All 8 of the first awards given for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance were her. The first of every single year for 8 years, she won that. It's just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
And that's why Rolling Stones have also asked the best singer in the world.
But that was the really interesting thing. So when this album came out, they said that this album had lack of versatility on the part of the musicians. The drums weren't hard enough. The guitar was weak. The production lacked polish. In 2002, though, they placed it, same Rolling Stone, placed this album as number 1 on their Women in Rock 50 Essential Albums. In 2003, the album was ranked number 83 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Q included the album in the 100 greatest albums ever. Q gave the album 4 stars and said the album came out in May 1967, number 2 in America within weeks, and it now stands untainted by time.
Yes,
just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
And you have, when you hear her then on this opening track, that was actually not the first that we recorded, but she is 24 years old, and that is rather young from my point of view, but you don't hear a 24 young girl singing. It's a much more mature woman that is singing. And she have, and in these days, could you believe that someone did 10 albums and nothing happened after 10 albums, and she was sought after? So the guy that actually reinvented her, or should have much credit, is Jerry Wexler. That is a famous producer, if you know the black music industry, for Atlantic Records. So during her 10 albums in Colombia, she was singing quite not exciting music from a modern point of view, because she was singing more not classical music, but more orchestra, more jazz standards. But he heard her voice and wanted to do something with her voice. But the fascinating thing is that Columbia had 10 albums and they didn't find out how to handle her and to treat her and give her the best environment. So he said to his boss, it's actually funny because Jerry Wexler was a son of a German and a Polish parents, and he was working for a Turkish, the Ahmet Ertegun, that founded the Atlantic Records. He was the son of a ambassador, the Turkish ambassador in US, and they just loved the black music. So they started Atlantic Records 1947 with focus on recording black artists. And he said, I want to sign her. And they said, okay, go ahead. And then he said, I want her to take her down to the Fame studios in Muscle Shoals. And Muscle Shoals, you remember from Allman Brothers, the sound there, it was famous. So they started 1960, the Fame Studios. It actually stands for Florence, Alabama Music. And they moved to Muscle Shoals because Florence is, so Fame is, and then they did 1.5 song down there, and so the founder of the Fame Studios, he had a good sound, and he quite fast got a reputation that they had good musicians. So they wanted to work with these guys. But after the first evening, they worked the whole day. He had suddenly hired not a known guy, a trumpet guy, and he become, because they were celebrating after the first day, and he become drunk, and he said some racial slur to Aretha because this trumpet guy was white, and
Right.
her husband become really upset. And when people are drunk, they say these things that are stupid. So they left and went back home to New York.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. Wow, that was Jerry Wexler was said. So, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's have a bit of music. So
Yeah.
the first track on this is one of the best known songs in the world, isn't it? It's a song that
Yes.
every single person that I've ever known sings along to this song. So this was written by Otis Redding. He recorded it in 1965, and it only got to number 35 in the charts when he
Yes.
recorded it. He said on his deathbed, after hearing this, he said he heard Aretha's rendition for the first time. He told Wexler, "This girl has taken that song from me. It ain't no longer my song. From now on, it belongs to her."
Yes.
And it does. It is just. It's a remarkable piece of music, this, isn't it?
Yes.
So here we go. I don't need to introduce it. Everyone knows what this is. Yeah, I mean, there is one major problem with this song. It's only 2.5 minutes long.
Yes.
Because frankly, you could listen to that. Yeah, absolutely
Yes.
right, Rob. You could listen to that all day, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. It ends too quickly. So this was actually the third song that they recorded. So if we go back, it was the title song that they did successfully in Alabama,
Yeah.
and then they managed actually to do half of "Do Right Man, Do Right Woman," and then they left. So the musicians, they didn't know what happened. So when they come the next day in the morning, there was a sign: recording session ended.
Mhm.
uh, and they were standing there and didn't know in the beginning what has happened. And Jerry Wexler was not happy at all. You can imagine. And who should he do? So i- what he did was he only had 1.5 songs. So you, he actually managed to print. It's called acetates. It's not a real single.
Yeah, yeah.
So he printed 20 to 30 of those and send the record out to a number of radio DJs that he knew. And they started to play it on the radio. And after 10 days, Aretha Franklin calls him up and say, okay, I can, it's okay to, because she was happy with the result, and she understood also that she got good feedback from this playing on the radios, and also the radio companies started to want to have more than this one-sided single. So after 10 days, she said okay, and what he did was he brought these fame guys, the Swampers. They were had their nickname was Swamper. He
Mhm.
brought them up to New York without the trumpet guy. So
Mhm.
the whole gang was traveled up to New York, and then they continued do the recording with the same staff.
Right. Um, yeah, I mean, it's really funny, isn't it? Because as I was listening to this during the course of the week, I was just struck by what a remarkable voice it is. And when you consider other singers of the time, so people like Diana Ross, and
Yeah,
just absolutely staggering uh, level of vocal control.
yeah.
Just amazing. Um, so let's spin on to track two, "Drown in My Own Tears."
Mhm.
Um, so this was originally recorded by Lulu Reed and then Ray Charles. But again, another one of those songs that is an Aretha Franklin song now, isn't it?
Yes.
So
It brings big tears into my eyes. When I began to realize that I've cried so much, oh, since you've been gone, I guess I'm drowning my own tears. I've been crying just like a child. These tears of mine, these tears are running wild. And if you don't think
I mean, this is just such a beautiful contrast to the first song, isn't it?
Yeah.
First song, pure Motown and upbeat, and this is real smoky jazz bar kind of.
Blues.
Yeah, it's really soothing and just delightful, isn't it?
So what he did that changed the perception of how you perceive her music was that in Columbia recordings they didn't use her playing the piano or an organ, and he felt that she could deliver more when she was at the piano.
So
So
she was
that's
playing
the,
the piano here.
yes, she was playing, and that is something that I'm not a musician, but it's well, I've understood that playing piano and singing at the same time is rather difficult. But she did that without any problem. So she didn't have a voiceover, just play recording piano and then singing. So she did singing and piano at the same time.
Wow. So I didn't realize that she was
No,
playing on that.
yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
yes,
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, and this is one of the things that strikes me about this as an album. It's not just a collection of songs. You know, they've been put together really thoughtfully. And the
yes.
fact that we've got these two kind of extremes as the first two songs, yeah, absolutely, Graham. It is yeah, a beautiful piece of piano playing. So that brings us on to the title song. I've never loved a man. I never loved a man the way I love you. For me, this is the best song on the album. This
Oh,
is
okay. So I for me, I am respect. I have that's my. But you, yeah, good to hear, because this is the first single. Respect was the second single. Yeah.
yeah, and this excuse me. So Rolling Stone in their 2004 list of 500 greatest songs of all time, this is number 186 in the greatest songs of all time. So this was used in several movies: The Commitments in 1991, Night in the City in 1992, Love Potion Number 9, 1992, Bound 1996, Still This Movie 2000. And it's also been covered by Jennifer Hudson, Kelly Clarkson, Alicia Keys, Spencer Wiggins. It's just a truly outstanding song, this, and certainly my favourite. You got anything you want to say about this?
No, it's. I think everyone can get it. It's not a complicated story.
You're no good, heartbreaker. You're a liar and you're a cheat. I don't know why I let you do these things to me. My friends keep telling me that you ain't no good. Oh, but they don't know that I'd leave you if I could. I guess I'm uptight and I'm stuck like glue. 'Cause I ain't never loved a man the way that I love you. Some time ago I thought you would run up.
It's one of those types of music you could just listen to all of the song, just sit here with your arms folded and just listen to the song. It's just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I just love
For for me, it goes straight into my heart.
yeah,
That's what they call soul. That's what they call the soul.
yeah, and you're converting me.
That's
You
good.
are absolutely converting me. What with you doing this and Peter doing Dusty Springfield, you know,
Yes.
and you having done Marvin Gaye previously,
Yes.
you know, it's like this is some fantastic music, and
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting is that there are these individual tracks that everybody knows, and then there's loads of stuff which kind of flies beneath the radar unless you're an aficionado of the artist or the type of music. And I'm just loving this journey that I'm going on when people are bringing their albums and I'm being exposed to all this new
Yeah.
stuff. I'm just absolutely loving it.
Wonderful. That's good.
Yeah. So Soul Serenade. Uh,
That's it's a little bit more of her, from my point of view, more of her Columbia recordings. It's more jazzy feeling. So that from my point of view, that is it's two that doesn't get me so much. This is one of them that for me it's the weaker on the album.
Well, because apparently this was written as a jazz instrumental, wasn't
Yes.
it? So this
Yeah.
was written by Curtis Oasley, King Curtis, and Luther Dixon, and it was a sax and piano duet in a jazz one.
Yeah. So
So,
I'm not a jazz guy, so that's why it's not my cup of tea.
so here we go. Soul Serenade.
Only you can heal my soul.
I think you'd enjoy it more if she was a better singer.
I want to be free to fly away and sing to the world about my soul. Serenade, my soul serenade. When you're not around, there's a lonely sound.
So absolutely lovely.
It's her voice that saves it, from my point of view.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Peter. So Peter's
Yes.
just messaged me a shot of the mixing desk at Fame Studios.
Yeah. And you're right, Peter. Spooner Oldham was on this session. That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I do love a bit of jazz, and
Yeah.
that's great. What's interesting is that this song and what was the second one? Drowning My Tears. I definitely had that Etta James feel to me.
Yeah.
I'm a big Etta James.
Yes, I agree.
fan.
Yeah. Yes.
And,
Yeah.
you know, that same kind of immense power and control in the voice, and
Yes.
huge range.
Yeah.
You know,
Good resemblance. Yeah. She had four. She covered 4 octaves. Aretha's voice. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow! Yeah, that's even more than I can do. so don't let me lose this dream. So
this is a little bit cool. The next one is cool because from my point of view, when I heard it, I got a Burt Bacharach feeling. You know, Dionne Warwick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me. It's a little bit bossa nova feeling in this one.
Yeah, it's
I like
definitely
it.
got that sort of shuffle to it, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
And I like this one. I like this song. Yeah.
So this was released as a single in 1968, so the year after, with the B-side, "The House That Jack Built." I mean, a useless fact, but a fact nonetheless. But yeah, this again, I think it's interesting because the tracks that are not the tracks that you immediately gravitate towards, you can still really enjoy because of that voice, can't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like listening to somebody play music you don't like on a Stradivarius violin. It's still beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
So here we go.
If I lose this dream, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I lose this dream, I'm dreaming about for me and you. If it goes away, I might as well hang it up, 'cause I It's goodbye, love, and happiness. You're the one I need. I don't want a love that's second best. There've been things all of my life I wanted to do that made me blue. Help me hold on to this dream, 'cause sometimes dreams often come true, and they'll come true for me.
Yeah, it's definitely got that Burt Bacharach kind of sound. It's very the texture of it is very of the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could almost be Dusty Springfield or Petula Clark or one of
Yes.
those. That it's the same kind of
Yes.
and that kind of little sloping beat.
And later on, she made a cover of a Dionne Warwick Burt Bacharach song, "Walk On By," and that is really strong. Yeah, yeah. So they were friends, so it's no strange that she was inspired by that. Yeah.
Yeah, and quite interesting that that she, the Queen of Best, should be inspired by a lesser mortal.
Yeah, but that's quite common that they took ingredients from each other.
Yeah. So, baby, baby, baby. I haven't got anything on this one, other than the fact that again it was just another song on the album that was really nice and a great showcase for her voice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have no further myself. It's herself. She wrote it herself.
And she's playing piano again.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, even if I couldn't sing like this, I'd be happy to play the piano like this, frankly.
Yeah.
Baby, 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 this is just to say how much I'm gonna miss you. But believe while I'm away that I didn't mean to hurt you. Don't you know that I'd rather hurt myself? I hurt myself. Baby, 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 think of me sometime, baby, because if loving you was so wrong, and I'm guilty of this crime. I'm guilty. I'm bewildered, I'm lonely, and I'm loveless without you to hold my hand. Reach out for me, boy. You reach out for me right now. Those that we love foolishly may cry.
You can hear Peter. You can hear Carolyn and Irma, her sisters, in the background.
Yeah, how nice to have a whole family of people with no talent. So that brings us on to Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah,
that's you today, isn't it?
Me. And this is a pure blues song, and I don't know how much blues knowledge the audience have, but quite often the blues text is quite naughty. So I wouldn't go so much deep into explanation. You listen yourself.
Okay. So,
She was naughty, Aretha.
She was
naughty.
good girl.
Yeah.
I don't want nobody always sitting around me and my man. I don't want nobody always don't mind company because company's all right with me every once in a while. Yes, it is.
Yeah, great, great. We all love a bit of blues, don't we?
Yes, yes. I can reveal something that there is one very good British music journalist. His name is David Nathan, and he lived, I think, 25, 30 years in US. So he managed to become a friend of Aretha.
Okay.
And she was a very closed person, so she was very difficult and tricky to interview because she didn't reveal so much of her personality. And but then suddenly in one of her interviews at the later stage in the 80s 90s, she complained to David that she had difficulties to find a man because at that time she was single that could cope with her famous, and she told him that she wanted a man to that could raise to the occasion, and he said, "I can't write that." So they skipped that in the article then.
Nice, nice. Nice that she's got a sense of humor as well.
Yes, yes.
Good Times.
Yeah, that's Sam Cooke.
Mm,
It's this is more almost a boogie woogie. It's very up tempo, a very happy song.
yeah. In a review by Dave Marsh in 1971 of this, he said about this track, this is Cook at his very best. Utilized a perfect lyrical sentimentality. Listen to Good Times.
Yes.
It might be 1 o'clock. It might be three. It might be 1 o'clock, and it might be three.
Yeah.
Time don't mean that much to me. Yeah, just lovely, lovely the way that this flows. So here we go. Good Times.
Everybody get in the groove and let the good time roll. I'm gonna stay here till I soothe my soul. If it takes all night long, yeah. It might be 1 o'clock and it might be three. Time don't mean that much to me. I ain't had this much fun since I don't go play. And I might not feel this good again. Oh, get in the groove and let the good time roll. I'm gonna stay here till I soothe my soul. If it takes all night long, yeah. All night, takes all night, and all day. I'm gonna get in the groove and let the good time roll. Stay here till I soothe my soul. If it takes all night long, yeah. It might be 1 o'clock and it might be three. I don't care 'cause time means nothing to me. I ain't been swinging since I don't know when, and I might not be swinging this way again. Oh, get in the groove and let the good times roll. You can stay here till you soothe your soul. If it takes
Lovely, absolutely
Yeah.
lovely. I mean, every time I listen to this, and it has been a week of listening to this. Every time I listen to this, I get something more out of it, and I smile to myself. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just great, isn't it?
Yeah. And next song is uh, you will have a task for next song. That this is now the famous half song.
Yeah, yeah,
Do Right Woman. What they did was in Muscle Shoals they did the drum, the bass, and the organ, and that's the only thing they managed to do. And then they made the other half and the rest in New York. And music studios are unique. And the thing was that they have different tape machines. So the tape machine in New York had a slightly higher speed. So they resulted in the piano. And this is what I have read. And since I'm not a musician, I can't hear it. But the piano part was recorded that it resulted in a quarter of a tone sharp. I don't know what a quarter of a tone sharp is, but
Not much,
that's
but enough.
yeah. So though some people can hear it, I can't hear it.
Yeah. So this track was ranked in Rolling Stone's 2004 list of 500 greatest songs of all time. This was ranked 476, so quite near the bottom. But, and here's an interesting thing. So I've just Googled it now. How many different albums are there in the world? Go on, what's your guess? How many different albums have been produced and released?
Millions.
Yeah, 12.7 million albums. So if there's 12.7 million albums and they have an average of 10 songs, that's 127 million different recordings of songs out there. And this album has got 2 in the top 500. That's pretty good going, isn't it, really?
Oh, that I didn't know. Oh, that's impressive. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've said this before. The thing that I find amazing is that any two people have ever listened to the same piece of music, because it's like with so much music out there, it's amazing that there would be any overlap on this Venn diagram, isn't it? So lots of people have covered this song. Cher, Joan Baez, Etta James, my favourite, Willie Nelson, Joe Cocker, Whitney Houston. Barbara Mandrell's version reached number 17 on the country chart and 128 on the Hot 100 in 1971. And in 1991, Robert De Niro's psychopathic Max Cady from Cape Fear, he used this song to seduce Juliette Lewis's disinfected teen whilst playing this.
It's not bad for a B-side.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So here we go. Do right woman, do right man.
Take me to heart, and I'll always love you, and nobody can make me do wrong. Take me for granted, leaving love unshown, makes willpower weak and temptation strong. Woman's only human, you should understand. She's not just a plaything, she's flesh and blood, just like her man. If you wanna do right, whole day, woman, you gotta be a do right, whole night man.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's in some cases it's difficult to know what to say, isn't it? Because it's just so beautifully produced, so beautifully delivered, and it's interesting, isn't it, to look at some of these kind of classic songs and see how many times they are repurposed, covered by people or used as in movies. Just fantastic.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I might not get my way through all of them, and frankly, I wouldn't want to.
No.
Yeah. So Save Me.
This is as I told you, there is two tunes that I'm not so doesn't bother me so much, and this is the second. But I mean, otherwise it's everything is fantastic. But this is, from my point of view, a little bit weaker track.
Yeah. So
It's it's the only one. You know why? Or maybe it's no piano in this one. Could be.
yes.
I just was now I realized that's why maybe I'm not so fond of it. I don't know.
Yeah. So the Franklin sisters' gospel roots are apparent on this track, where Aretha sings out about a love gone wrong. King Curtis plays the tenor sax on this. He performed with Aretha at many of her shows and helped Wexler in production duties on this album. He died in 1971 at the age of 37 after he was attacked and stabbed by a man, which is very, very sad. So the electronic music group from the 80s, OMD, sampled this song for a mashup for their 1980 track Messages to create a new version, Save Me, for their 2010 album, The History of Modern. So here we go. Save Me. Someone else said earlier about it, the Blues Brothers. That's definitely got a bit of Blues Brothers, or Blues Brothers has got a bit of that song in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and that the Blues Brothers, you know, she was very popular up to around 74, 75, and then she had 5 years that nothing happened, and the Blues Brothers made her being in fashion again. She was
Oh,
discovered
wow.
by the Blues Brothers. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, they didn't,
Yes.
not all bad.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Which brings us on to the last song of the album, A Change Is Gonna Come, which is another Sam Cooke song.
Yeah, and this is actually from her own wording, that she, at the age of 12, followed Sam Cooke to his hotel room when he was, she was 12 and he was 23.
Right.
No more details, but that's she has told that story herself, and that's she's a complicated woman because I don't know if you told that in the beginning, she become a mother at the age of 12, and at 14 she was two. She had her second child at 14.
Oh, wow.
So she was exposed to her father. He was a pastor, and he had a lot of women. Her mother left the family when she was 6 because the pastor had so many women affairs. So she
how
was
very
brought up.
Christian of him.
It was an unusual pastor. Yeah.
Yeah. So interestingly, and it's funny, isn't it, that often the song, the person that owns the song for you is the person that you hear singing it first. And though this is a great song and she does perform it beautifully, for me, this will always be Solomon Burke.
Hang on. Yeah. Do you know why he wrote this song?
No.
He they were black artists in the South. They were always touring with buses, and then they came late in the evening, or they were on tour, and thought that they were going to sleep in a motel, but the motel refused to take them on because they were black. So there were an argument, and still they couldn't convince the hotel owner, so they had to continue. And then they drive a while, and then they find another motel, and at that motel, just after in the procedure or checking in, the police came. So the previous motel owner had sent the police to them, and then they were arrested, and yeah, so he was kind of upset and sad at the same time and wrote this song.
Yeah, well, according to my notes on this, this became an anthem for the civil rights movement.
Yes.
It's considered to be one of Cook's greatest compositions.
Yes.
Over the years, it has garnered significant praise. In 2004, it was voted number 12 on the Rolling Stones list of 500 greatest songs of all time. It was then voted number 3 in Rolling Stone's 2021 edition of the 500 greatest songs of all time, and ranked number 3 in Webzine Pitchfork Media's 200 greatest songs of the 60s. The song was also among 300 songs deemed to be the most important ever recorded by National Public Radio. So it certainly is a very well-regarded song.
Yeah.
And it has been covered by a number of different people, but like I said, for me, this will always be Solomon Burke.
Yeah, he does it fantastic. Yeah,
but this, as always,
yes,
is still an outstanding performance.
This is good also. Yeah.
So here we go.
There's an old friend that I once heard say something that touched my heart, and it began this way. I was born by the river.
Solomon Burke can't do that though.
And just like the river, I've been running ever since. He said it's been a long time coming, but I know my change is gonna come. Oh yeah. He said it's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I might not be if I knew what was up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know my change has got to come. Oh yeah. I went to my brother.
No, don't stop.
Could you help me? He said, good sister, I'd like to come that evil. And when I looked around, I was right back down, and on my bended knee. Yes, I was.
It fills you up.
It does. I'm just breath. I mean, the voice it's like being given a hug, isn't it? It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. So what can I say?
It's perfect ending of the record, I think, this one.
Yeah. And what a record.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say? Thank you. A great choice again. A great choice.
Yeah.
So you're going away, aren't you? In a couple of weeks, you're going away for a month on a
on
pilgrimage.
tour. Yeah, on the deep south.
Yeah, a pilgrimage to the heart of blues and soul. So
Yes.
that would be lovely. But when you get back, what album are you going to do next time?
Sade, her first album.
Nice. Well, that's something for us all to look forward to.
You know, I need to tell you a story about this Muscle Shoals recording. This record made a lot of white artists discovering that maybe we should also do the same, going down and record that. And they thought this is a very black feeling, you know. So they were surprised. Rod Stewart were there, and he didn't understand. All of the musicians, the Swampers, they are white guys. They couldn't believe it. Because they expected a lot of black musicians, but all the Swampers, they are white guys. So he made Atlantic Crossing was made there.
Yeah.
And Rolling Stones made Brown Sugar, Wild Horses also down there.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, it was a significant change, wasn't it, in how music was viewed and what people were trying to get out of it. So great. Thank you very much, Erik. Dr. Feelgood, should I say? Thank you, everybody in the audience. Next week, I'm being joined by Ellen Kumar, and we're going to do Tom Petty, Into the Great Wide Open, which again will be something new for me. I'm just loving the fact that all of these are new to me at the moment. So I'll see you all again soon, I hope. Thank you to everyone in the audience.
Yep.
And if you would like to be a guest on the show, please let me know. So until next week, see you then.